So I promised on my last video that I would do a face marking and detailing video for the face, a tutorial. So here it is, and I have tortilla chip as my model for today. And let me just get started. So basically, what I'm going to show you is about the white markings and the glossing and the detailing in the eyes. But wow, that looks really bad in this lighting. There's like a glare on his eyes, and it's really creepy. My camera's being crazy. My camera always chooses not to focus. Maybe it'll decide to focus later. So basically what I did for the white marking, it does have mapping, which is not showing up at all. There's like a really bad glare. Yikes. Okay. So basically what I did for the overall white marking, and this water is blue in it, my paint water, because I was mixing something else. Basically it's going to be about this consistency. It's like a milk consistency. Well, it's a little heavy right now, but here we go. So yeah, it's like a milk consistency, and I am using Liquitex Basics for this, titanium white. And I would just, I would put my first layer on, and I would just keep applying this until it was completely covered. And then what you're going to do is, once you have this part, the base of your marking, I cannot believe it's not focusing. There we go, maybe. It looks really bad in the light. I'm sorry, guys. There is mapping there, like around the very edges. And you're going to take your little brush, and this is a number 1 Royal Taklon. And the other one that I was using. Now, I use this for a lot of bigger markings for him because his stripe is narrower. I used the number 1 Royal Taklon. But I usually use this one for thicker markings. And this is a Royal Taklon number 3. And there's the difference between the two. And I use the number 3 for the leg markings. So basically, I'm going to see if my camera will focus. Oh well. If you want to see really good pictures of his mapping, just go to my Instagram and you can see them. So after you do the base of your marking, you're just going to take this same, well, not obviously this same paint, because this will be quite a bit after you mixed up your first patch of paint, of course. But you're just going to thin it out a little more than it already is. And you're just going to take it around the marking, and you're just going to go around with, and you can dry brush it a little, which means you dab it out. That doesn't usually work quite as well, but you do want to do a little bit of that, just so there's not like a whole lot of excess paint on your brush before you map, because the mapping is very light. It's, well, you want it to be pretty discreet. And I wish it would be focusing. Oh, there we go, there we go. There we go, now you can see it. There, great. Okay. So after you do the mapping, and it usually only requires about 1 coat of mapping, and as you can see, like I said, it's just very discreet. And you want to follow the line of the markings, so like he has a little, it extends out a little bit there, so you want to do the mapping just around that, and kind of, you almost want to do like, so you don't want it to be a straight line, you almost want to take it out and sort of just hair it a little bit. And I can't demonstrate on me because I have nobody to film for me. You can just kind of like flick it out like a little bit. like that, like with your brush. Just try and detail it as much as you can. And let me see. Okay, so I do the pinking then, and I do that with pastels. And I have on the pinking on him, which you could see a moment ago. So I have like a flesh color pastel and a peach color, and those mixed together. So right here, and I use it with this brush, which is, I'm not sure. It's just like a flat, I think it's actually a cut brush that somebody cut. But it's almost like a filbert brush, a short one. So yeah, that would work. And after I do them, and I usually do about 2 layers of the pinking. Then after that, and it's going to be really hard for you guys to see. Maybe you can, it's not focusing again. There's such glare. But in the nostril, like very in the deep, like inside, you can maybe see it. I have a reddish color. And it's just to sort of enhance the nostrils, because a lot of horses do have a pinkish, reddish, like, color to the flare of their nostril. So I use this, which is like a bright reddish orange. And I usually use a smaller brush than this. Usually use this brush. Which is one that I cut diagonally, so it has a little bit of that, like, point there. And it's really, really stiff. And this is a Royal Taklon. Oh, this is Royal Taklon #1 as well. But it's a different, hair. It's a different type of bristle. So it's a lot stiffer. And I'll just, like, go in there, and I'll just kind of scrub that around with this color. And, oops. And, I will just leave that in there as long with the mapping. And when you seal it with this final layer, all that stuff should be sealed. And, then I go back in, once the sealer's dry, and I use the Wet n Wild, clear nail polish. And I like this because it's, it's not real thick, so it's more like fluid and it's easier to put on. But you have to make sure you don't get like a lot on your brush. Like when you twist the cap off, make sure you scrape the brush on the sides of the bottle, like on the top, because I've pulled this out before where I had the long brush and nail polish is stuck up on the applicator and it dripped onto the horse. So make sure that doesn't happen. And I will just go in and I gloss around the lips to try and make them like kind of wet looking. And I gloss in the nostril. And I gloss the eyes. There you can see his eyes better. This one still has a nasty glare on it. Looks really creepy. We'll use this one for an example then. This camera, really. Wow. Alright, so that's what I do for the markings in the face. And now for eyes. And I didn't mix up these colors because I wanted to show them to you individually. And so basically what you do is, first you take white acrylics and you just paint the whole eye. Make sure you know and I use this, the #1 Royal Taklon brush, and make sure you're just like really outlining it and you're not getting it over the edge of the eye. Which if you do get like paint anywhere on the eye over the edge, like onto the actual like top part of the lid and stuff, you can take your water in your brush and just kind of pull the paint out, and it should come out. So but you have to make sure that it's still wet when you do that. So I take the white and I just paint all over the eye, and that usually takes about 2 or 3 layers, and it dries fast. You can usually do it within a matter of 6 minutes or so. And then I'm going to take a mixture of the, hold on, Liquitex Basics Mars Black, Liquitex Basics Raw Sienna, Liquitex Basics Burnt Umber, or Burnt Sienna, the white, just a touch of white, and a touch of the blue, and I just used I'm using up this Folk Art acrylic color, Bavarian Blue. It does work well. I don't necessarily use this brand, but I'm just using it up. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to mix that up. Well, maybe I can a little bit here. I'm not using much. Oh, and I also use a red, the Liquitex Basics Cadmium Red Deep Hue. I usually, in the first layer, I'm going to use more of the burnt sienna. Just a touch of blue in there. Okay, so there you can see it's like a mahogany color. And you're just going to paint that in all over the eye. But you're going to paint it all over the eye. And you're going to fill in the white. It's not focusing again. I'm trying to get to focus for you guys. Seriously. There we go. You're going to fill in the white except for a very tiny bit in the very front, which you're going to leave white. And that's for the sclera. Okay, so I usually use about 2 layers of that. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do another layer of a brown. But I'm going to add more of the raw sienna, so that it's a little lighter. And you can experiment with different eye colors. It depends on the color of the horse. Sometimes you want a darker eye. Sometimes you want a lighter eye. I'm just going to add a little more of the red. That's way too much red. Okay, there we go. And that's about the color I use for the very last layer, the brownish color, which you can see is a more redder color. Okay, so I'm going to add that, and once that, and you can use a couple of layers of that. So as many layers as you feel it needs to cover. Then I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to water down my blue, which my blue's dried out now, but it's going to be a little thicker than that. And I'm just going to, here, I'll show you one here. I'm just going to apply that right where the pupil is going to be, like right under the area, and wing it out a little bit, as you can see. So then it kind of blends in with the pupil a bit, but you can still see it on the very outer edges of the pupil. My camera is being eek. Yeah, there we go. You can still see it on the very outer edges of the pupil. Then you're going to add the black, and you're going to paint the pupil in like a rectangular shape, but not completely rectangular. It's going to be, look up, actually, it's hard to explain for me. But if you're painting an eye, and it's your first time doing it, or you're trying out this, Google horses, up-close shot of horses' eyes. And then you will look, and you will see that they're kind of an oval shape, but not quite. So really study horses' eyes, and then you should be able to get the proper shape for the pupil. Okay, so then I go back and I do the blue again. I do the watered down blue, and I kind of dry brush it over the pupil. And the pupil, I don't let it fully dry before I do this. And then I do let it fully dry, and I go back and I do another layer of the black, and it blends in pretty nicely with the blue. So it's not a sharp contrast between the pupil and the eye. And then what I go in and do is I mix the red and the white. So it's going to be a little lighter than that. And this also sometimes depends on the horse, as how red you want their sclera. That is too red. I would add more white to that, or I mean it's too pink. And I would water that down. And I would go over here and I would just dab it. And then you should be able to put it on and it will give a nice, more of a washed looking. It's not going to cover the whole white. It will give more of a, like, it will just kind of stain the white a little bit pinkish. And it will give a nice coloring to the sclera. Because it can look a little freaky if you just have an all white sclera and you don't add any pinky to it. Gosh, this quality is terrible today, guys. My camera's usually better than this. Alright, guys. Well, I will film another one on how to do hooves and the sand base that I did and the dressage bands. Alright, bye, guys. Thanks for watching.